You and me, we are just one individual. An individual with our own principles, our own opinions, our own perspective of how we see the world. But if I ever want to see and understand those same things within you and the people around us, I must first accept the challenge of seeing the world through a lens other than my own. Diversity is in abundance all around us. From the schools we gain education from the choice of religion, and within religion, the institutions we attend. From the different neighborhoods we call home, to the dynamics of the families and the households we are raised in. Diversity is what makes us as individuals interesting, and on a small level, unique. Diversity is in the gestures I think we take for granted at times. Something as simple as how we say hello or greet a stranger can be different. When an individual can transition from one form of a greeting to another with attention to their surroundings, it says a lot about that person's cultural intelligence. And that is because when I made the conscious decision to step out of my own norm of greeting someone and step into someone else's, it's a demonstration of a commitment to respect, trust, and emotional consideration. You cannot define diversity without the words inclusion and consciousness. As Richard Butcher would put it in his book, Diversity Consciousness, rather than limiting diversity to gender, race, and ethnicity, diversity consciousness examines differences of all kinds amongst all people. This includes interrelationships, the dynamics of the interactions we have with those we see as sharing the same traits, values, and traditions. As I share what diversity is, let me tell you what it is not. Diversity isn't just about underrepresented people. Diversity is not some new phenomenon. When it comes to workplace performance and qualifications, diversity is not about lowering the standards. Diversity is about every single human on this earth and our continual effort to figure out how do we embrace and respect the differences that we may have. The sooner we acknowledge the differences that exist amongst all of us, the quicker we explore opportunities to see the world from another perspective and find value of diversity that benefits not just others, but ourselves. That value we provide to ourselves is to be more versed and well-rounded about what is happening around us. And with that value, we become conduits that connect people who otherwise would never thought they would actually have something in common with one another. Once we recognize that behaviors and gestures differ widely from place to place, studying culture is no longer a chore, but instead becomes a pastime talent. Culture is complicated, and that is why it requires a significant amount of awareness as we go throughout our day interacting with one another. We become more culturally aware when we refrain from making our own meaning of things someone else's reality. To avoid this, we engage in cross-culture communication, where we act beyond our own social norms to help create and preserve relationships with others. I too face my own diversity challenges in how people perceive me. The misconception of the social and economic status I had growing up, the assumptions made about my political beliefs simply by the tolerance I have for all walks of life. There are even presumptions made about my stance on various social justice campaigns simply because of the color of my skin. These personal challenges add to the difficulty of connecting with others, as I have to be mindful of my own implicit biases I may hold based on the lines people have drawn for me. Difficult hurdles to get over, but not impossible. To overcome these barriers, I persistently expressed an intent during professional development presentations and amongst peers and group discussions of facilitating conversations that are inclusive, sharing thoughts with audiences of all kinds, And in the moment of providing or receiving education, I make myself vulnerable, sharing stories about my family, my upbringing, my profession, my successes, and even my failures, and how all these things have culminated to who I am today. By making myself vulnerable, it oftentimes makes listeners or readers comfortable to share their own thoughts and experiences. And in that, I often find so many things in common with them. The desire to succeed, to make a difference, to provide, to gain higher ground in life despite our differences in traits, values, and beliefs, these things that motivate us to get us there. This strategy seems to be pretty effective as I started to understand that diversity education is not just about learning from you, but you simultaneously are learning from them. The education of awareness, understanding, and empathy. The efforts are in the form of synergistic conversation, a collaboration where we collectively incorporate an understanding of my way and your way of doing things, and meeting somewhere in the middle. When it comes to cultural consciousness, there is no behavior mandate, policy, or technology prescription that can change the way we see others. It takes effort. Each interaction we have, including those we work with, are different, and I encourage you to adapt in every moment. Exercising cultural consciousness brings change in the way we see, and when this happens, it can not only change a single situation, but it can change an entire community.